He was mocked for his MAGA hat, and the crowd gleefully recorded his humiliation on their phones. But when it was revealed that this man was the owner of the entire chain of stores, everything changed. What he did next left everyone stunned. A sunny day in Austin, Texas, bathed a small supermarket in warm light. Inside, the scene was lively. Shoppers hurriedly filled their carts, children fussed, and employees lazily restocked shelves. Amid the hustle and bustle stood a man in his 50s, fair-skinned, fit, with short, graying hair. He wore a light blue shirt neatly tucked into dark jeans and a red cap emblazoned with "Make America Great Again," which seemed to glow in this sea of everyday normalcy. Holding a basket filled with groceries, bourbon, vegetables, a bag of chips, he confidently approached the register. His calm posture and slightly raised chin gave the impression of someone well acquainted with composure. The cashier, a young man of about 25, thin with a nose ring and a bun of long hair, shot the customer a look of open disdain. His black T-shirt, boldly printed with "Not My President," hinted that this encounter might take an interesting turn. He exhaled loudly, the gesture clearly exaggerated, and began scanning the man's items with deliberate slowness, relishing every second of his pace. The crowd behind the man started to murmur. People in line grew visibly irritated. Someone glanced repeatedly at their watch. Another tapped their foot in frustration. But the cashier seemed to be just getting warmed up. "So, MAGA hat," he said loudly, locking eyes with the customer. "Who's planning to build that wall again?" Laughter rippled through the line. The mood shifted as curiosity replaced frustration. People smirked, some began pulling out their phones, ready to capture what promised to be an escalating situation. The man appeared unbothered by the jab. He lifted his eyes, allowed himself a faint smile, and said in a calm, almost tender tone, "I just want to pay for my groceries. Or is that a crime now?" The simplicity of his remark stifled a few chuckles among the crowd, but the cashier wasn't about to let it end there. His face twisted into a mocking grin. "Oh, so you're a comedian too? Great, let's see how funny you really are." The man said nothing. His face remained composed, but in his eyes, a flicker of restrained fire appeared. The cashier, hunched over the scanner, deliberately moved at a snail's pace, as if weighing each bag of chips like it was a work of art. His grin widened as he picked up a bottle of bourbon. "Oh, bourbon!" he exclaimed loudly, glancing at the crowd behind the man. "Celebrating another great day in America, huh? Maybe with fireworks and a few patriotic toasts." The crowd erupted in laughter. Phones emerged. Some people openly started recording. The supermarket suddenly felt less like a store and more like an impromptu stage. But the man remained calm, his face as unyielding as stone. Only a slight movement of his eyebrow and a barely audible sigh betrayed any emotion. The cashier noticed and seemed encouraged. His enthusiasm grew. Deciding to up the ante, he grabbed the man's cap with 2 fingers, holding it up as if it were a dirty rag. Raising it to eye level, he spoke with exaggerated disdain. "Maybe you should take off this ridiculous thing. Honestly, it's scaring off the normal people." The laughter behind the man grew louder, but he moved slowly and deliberately. Reaching out, he took the cap back and, unhurriedly, placed it firmly back on his head. There was so much confidence in his movements that the crowd's laughter began to give way to a growing silence. "Are you done?" he asked calmly, looking the cashier directly in the eye. The question, posed like a challenge, instantly wiped the grin from the cashier's face. He hesitated for a second, but quickly forced a smirk back onto his lips. "No," he shot back defiantly. "I'm just getting started." From somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, "This is about to get interesting," as a phone camera held steady, ready to capture whatever happened next. The cashier, emboldened by the crowd's support, straightened up as if preparing for a final, decisive blow. His voice rang out loudly and firmly. "You know what? I don't have to serve someone wearing such disgusting symbolism. Get out of my store or I'll call security." The line fell silent. Many stopped recording and simply watched. Someone whispered, "Now that's a twist." The main character, still unshaken, stood motionless with his arms crossed over his chest. His faint smile and calm gaze made the cashier's outburst seem even more ridiculous. At that moment, the office door cracked open, and a woman in her 40s stepped out. Slim, with a short dark haircut, she was dressed in a sharp black suit and comfortable shoes. Her movements were quick and confident. Hearing the cashier's loud voice, she stopped and sharply turned to assess the situation. "What's going on here?" she demanded firmly, her gaze sweeping over the line before resting on the cashier. Without hesitation, the young man pointed at the man in the MAGA cap. "This guy in the MAGA hat is spreading hate. I refuse to serve him." The woman shifted her gaze to the man, and her expression changed instantly. Shock and confusion crossed her face. The crowd grew tense, sensing something important was about to happen. "Wait, are you Mr. Hendricks?" she asked, her voice tinged with reverence. The main character responded with a slight nod and a friendly smile. "Good to see you, Miss Wilson." The cashier's face fell into a puzzled frown as he looked back and forth between the manager and the man. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. In a hushed tone, he asked, "Who is he?" The woman shot him a stern look and lowered her voice. "He's the owner of this chain. He's here to inspect how we operate." It was as if lightning struck the cashier. His face turned beet red as realization dawned. The crowd grew even quieter, save for a few whispered remarks like, "Would you look at that?" and muffled chuckles. The man in the cap remained as calm as ever. His unwavering confidence began to inspire respect, even from those who had initially laughed at him. Mr. Hendricks stands calmly, his posture confident, his focused gaze fixed on the cashier. He shakes his head slightly and speaks in a steady yet firm voice. "I'm here to ensure that every customer feels comfortable in our stores, regardless of their beliefs. But it seems some employees have forgotten what professionalism means." The crowd hangs on his every word. The air is thick with tension as the cashier fidgets nervously, now twisting his name tag between his fingers. Slowly, Mr. Hendricks turns to the manager. "I'm sure you know what needs to be done," he adds with a faint smile. The manager nods, her expression serious. She steps forward, her voice loud and clear for everyone to hear. "You're fired. Leave the premises immediately." The cashier, initially stunned, stammers out an excuse. "But it was a joke. I was just—" His words are drowned out by a murmur from the crowd. Someone in line calls out mockingly, "Jokester of the Year!" Another adds, "Finally, some justice." Under the weight of the stares and comments, the cashier removes his name tag, tosses it onto the counter, and storms out of the store, his face flushed red. The crowd watches him go, many making approving remarks as he leaves. Mr. Hendricks, unfazed by the commotion, finishes paying for his groceries. Once done, he glances up at the onlookers and with a faint smile says, "Hope you enjoyed the show. Come back to our stores any time." The crowd erupts into applause. Some shout their thanks, others furiously type updates on their phones, ensuring they include the hashtag #HendricksStore. Later that evening, the video of the incident goes viral. In the comments, viewers split into two camps. Some praise Mr. Hendricks for his composure and dignity, while others mock the now former cashier. But one thing everyone agrees on: no one saw it coming.